Saskia. Welcome to the MyVision Social Business Summit here at McGill University of 2014. Thank you so much for joining us. We're honored to have you here today. Can you please start us off with your story? So what inspires you about social business? How do you believe that's redefining business?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Yoshvi, for inviting me, and thank you very much to MyVision for getting me involved in this. I think it's a great idea that you're bringing together all these students from Canada, but also obviously around the world, to the great initiative that you have today. Well, maybe I should probably start with introducing myself. My name is Saskia Bruysten, and I'm one of the co-founders and also CEO of the Yunus Social Business Global Initiatives. We are the global implementation arm for the idea of social business of Peace Nobel laureate Mohammed Yunus. He's our co-founder, and next to me there's also another person called Sophie Eisenman that has set this organization up. What we do is incubate and finance social businesses around the world. We currently have 7 offices in Haiti, Brazil, Colombia, Albania, Tunisia, and also Uganda, as well as India. And that's where we have teams on the ground that, on the one hand, help the entrepreneurs to develop their business plans and to create great social business ideas. And on the other hand, then we have a local fund in each of the countries to then provide the necessary equity and debt to those businesses. So that's what we do. My background is obviously business. I did an MBA, and I also actually did a master's in international relations, so I have a twofold background, really both sides. And then I worked in management consulting, so I come from the dark side. I did the classical thing. I worked for the Boston Consulting Group, and I really learned a lot during those times, and it was really my business 101, because after an MBA, I mean, you know something, but you know a lot more after you work in consulting and you see different companies and how they implement things, and you just get a much bigger overview. So for me, that was really, really useful to get my business education going. And after a few years there, I then asked myself, am I going to do this for the rest of my life, or what can I do with the skills that I have? Then I decided to say, hey, maybe I can use my skills also to serve a slightly broader purpose and to help solve some of the pressing needs that are out there right now in the world. That's the decision that I took then, but I didn't really know what that would really mean and how I could do that and how I could still do something for society, but at the same time use my business skills, because I didn't really want to throw my years at BCG, my MBA away, and just like go out there and write papers or go to the UN or I don't know what. I didn't really know how to get those two things involved. And then I spent a lot of time. I thought about how can I get involved. Actually, I was very lucky and heard Professor Yunus speak at the university where I was doing my second master's, and I thought, wow, that guy is inspiring. And I was really thinking, I mean, of course I knew about microfinance. I think microfinance is something that is well established and people around the world know it. But I didn't really know all that much about social business. And when he started talking about how he started getting corporates involved in that sector, and how he had started creating Ramin Danon, the first social business joint venture, where Danon merged for a specific company in Bangladesh with Ramin to sell yogurts that are enriched with micronutrients and vitamins. I was like, wow, I want to do that too. I want to get involved, and I think I can get my contacts from BCG, from the corporate world that I was working in, also to get engaged in more projects. And so that was really, for me, that kind of turning point in my head where I said, hey, this is exactly the right thing, where I can combine both my business background and kind of my passion for doing something else for society, and I can do that. That's when I guess my journey with social business started.
So that kind of, I really see the link between using the business skills that you've done. You've redefined that, right? You've used the same business skills, but you've used it for a totally different purpose, and that led you to build Yunus Social Business. So how did you go about that? You know, where did you start? What were the steps that you took, and why did you start? You know, why did you feel from going from Grameen Creative Lab to the Yunus Social Business?
Yeah, well, maybe I should first start with what we did at Grameen Creative Lab. I mean, very much, as I said, about 5 years ago, when we when I met Professor Yunus, and then together with another person on site, we started running Creative Lab. The idea of social business, of course, had been implemented in Bangladesh, but it was in many ways still a super pioneering field in the rest of the world, and it wasn't something that had really been established. I mean, today it's not something that's super well known and that everyone on the street will know exactly what a social business is. So back then we said what we need to do is we need to get people involved in this. And when we said people, we said really anyone. It could be getting corporates involved, it could be getting foundations involved, it could be getting the general public involved, et cetera, et cetera. We just said, let's get different players in society involved in this idea, and let's see how they react, and let's see what they can do. So basically what we wanted the Grameen Creative Lab to be was kind of a testing ground, a place where people could come, they can sit there with us, and we can reflect with them how they can get involved. My part particular was, in that case, I really wanted to get corporates involved because I knew that the business sector had such a strong force to really drive change in the world. And there's such a powerful sector. If we can get them involved and not just focusing on shareholder value maximization, but actually on solving some of the most pressing needs in the world, then we can really make fundamental change. So back then we tried to get some corporates involved, including BASF, the largest chemical company in the world. We set up a joint venture with them in Bangladesh to sell treated mosquito nets in Bangladesh. We also got other corporates involved, like Uniflow, the clothing brand. We have a joint venture with them that produces and sells affordable clothing, but high quality clothing in Bangladesh, and also exports it. Several other Japanese companies, several other German companies, etc. But basically, like, our goal back then at GCL was really, let's get people involved, let's get it going. And so also during that period, we started the Global Social Business Summit, which is now a global platform for social business, where we also met with you guys from MyVision last year in Kuala Lumpur, and so on and so on. So these were a few things that we did in the pioneering days of GCL. And then after about 2.5 years or 3 years or so, then I felt that I wanted to spend a lot of my time on really implementing social business, focusing on creating bottom-up examples, not just the top-down corporates, but really bottom-up examples of how social business can function in other countries outside of Bangladesh. So we had already started setting up shop in Haiti, and we continued that, and that's where we kind of developed the whole concept of an incubator fund, because we said, again, why can't we take something that has worked perfectly in the business world, which are incubators and accelerators in the venture capital industry, why can't we apply that to the social sector? And so what we did, let's do that. Why should that concept not work? The only difference is that we have a different motivation for why we're setting this up. Of course, at that point in time, we had no clue if setting up social businesses was something that maybe just a few crazy people like us and Professor Yunus in Bangladesh wanted to do. But soon enough, we noticed also in Haiti that there were enough crazy entrepreneurs that said, yes, I want to do exactly the same thing. I want to do this for my country. I want to do this in Haiti. And so ever since, we've helped many hundreds of entrepreneurs to get their business kind of like up and running and answer questions and incubate with them. And we've invested in Haiti alone roughly into 10 social businesses.
Wow.
All with investment sizes between, probably in the case of Haiti, between 100 and 500,000 US dollars. And so many of them are running, not all of them. Some of them are still in the setup phase, but we've really seen over time that this can really work, and that there are enough crazy entrepreneurs out there that don't just want to set up business to make money, but that want to set up business to solve problems.
Well, in your opinion, we as business students, how do you feel we could best get involved in social business? Do you think it would be, at this point in our lives, like a top-down approach, or do you think we're better fit for bottom-up social businesses and helping them move forward?
Well, to be honest, I think it has something to do with the skill set that each and every one of you has, and also the passion that each and every one of you has. Some might feel like they want to create their own thing and really want to set up bottom up a new enterprise, a new business, a new social business that solves a particular problem that you are passionate about. And I can only say, go ahead. It's great to see young entrepreneurs succeed. So I really hope that that's certainly one path that you can go. But of course, there are also other ways. I mean, you can start working with organizations like ours that are already in the process of incubating social businesses, and you can kind of see how we do it and then learn through that process. Or maybe for some people it might be the right path to say, hey, I want to first work in the normal business world, and then after a few years of really getting that so-called hard-nosed business expertise, I'll go into the social business sector and then test it there. So I think there are many different approaches, and everyone has to find their own way. I think these are a few ways to do it. And then maybe finally, of course, that there are also simple ways to get involved. As I mentioned earlier, we have started a collaboration with Kiva, which is a great crowdfunding platform. And with them, we've launched already 2 loans, one of $25,000 that got funded in 1 day for a social business in Albania, and another one also for a social business in Albania for about $50,000, and also that was funded fairly quickly. And we're doing the same thing for a third social business, which is a Haitian business in this case, and it will be a loan of about $100,000. This is going to be the largest loan that Kiva has ever funded on Kiva. So we really, really need all of your support. In this case, what we're talking about is investment from the person that wants to participate of $25. So it's really not a big amount, but it's something where everyone can participate. Students, rich or poor, it's something that pretty much everyone can take part in and do their part in funding social business and getting it out there. And the great thing in this case, it's not a donation, it's actually a loan. So over time, you will get your $25 back, and you'll be able to reinvest it.
Which is wonderful, and I think that's kind of the mechanism that students need to really see the effect of their investment in social business, and I think Kiva is a great place to start.
That's a great example of kind of our next question in terms of how can students start, say tomorrow we wanted to spread the social business movement. Like, how would you go about that exactly?
There are many, many dimensions. First of all, I think students are great because they're young and they look at things in a different way. They look at it in a fresh way. So you guys are not as brainwashed as already somebody like me that has been working in the normal business sector for many years. You're not brainwashed. You have a fresh mindset and you'll look at problems in a completely different way. So one of the roles that you guys can play is coming up with crazy ideas. I think coming up with crazy ideas and exchanging them is another thing that is important. And that is basically the second point, which is nowadays everyone's super connected via social media. It can be used, of course, on the one hand to just talk to your friends, etc., but it can be used in a super productive way of not only just crowdsourcing funding, but for example, crowdsourcing ideas, crowdsourcing business ideas, and giving crowd feedback to business plans, etc., and actually helping others out there to formulate their ideas better and to actually make them stronger. So that's another way how students can get involved. I mean, for example, we did a collaboration with our Colombian office with IDO, the innovation company, and they have a platform called Open IDO, and there we got hundreds and hundreds of answers and ideas from people from all around the world on how to create some healthcare social businesses in Colombia. And that has been implemented, and that has actually worked out. So this is another way how students can get involved. And I mean, how to spread the social business concept. I mean, as I said, obviously it is a lot about sharing ideas and talking to people. So the type of events and workshops that you already do at MyVision are extremely important, I think, for that. And the second element is really creating examples. Create examples, try things out, and even if it's super small, even if it just is going to create a job for 2 people or 3 people, or if it's going to change somebody's approach to whatever the problem is you might want to address, and it's just for 2, 3 people. Don't think that something can be too small. If it works in the small context, then it's something that you can scale over time. So I would just really say, get in there, get your hands dirty, and just try things out. And through the idea spreading and idea exchange, and then also through creating examples together, slowly but surely you can spread the idea from McGill to many other universities around the world.
Great, thanks so much. That's really inspiring and empowering to hear it from someone who's accomplished so much in the field of social business, to know that we can in fact start tomorrow to spread this social business movement. Lastly, our last question to you is, Saskia, what is your vision for the world?
What's my vision for the world? I mean, I think my vision for the world is to see that we can create a more equitable world in the future. Because if we look at the world as it is today, there are extreme differences between rich and poor. And unfortunately, despite the fact that global poverty is going down over time, the inequality is still going up, or at least in many countries is going up. I believe that this type of inequality that is kind of creating itself more and more is going to be not only one that is an issue for the poorest of the poor, but it's also going to become an issue for the richest of the rich. And that's why I believe that both sides have to come closer together, because otherwise there's going to be war, conflict, and and it's going to have an effect on the entire world, obviously. So, of course, my vision of the world is a more equitable world, which doesn't mean that everyone's going to be exactly the same. But I think it should be a world where there are rising tides for every layer of society, and where we can make sure that the bottom part of the world has access to everything that they need, from education to all the rights and nutrition and food that they need, to education, etc. Because if that is not the case, then we don't have equal opportunity. So I think that's, I guess, what I hope we're all working towards. And now, in very concrete terms, what's our contribution? I mean, for me personally, my main thing is really getting making YSB a successful model. And so currently we're working in 7 countries, and we're slowly but surely expanding. But what I really want to make sure is that in a couple of years we have created a substantial amount of functioning, self-sustainable, problem-solving social businesses out there that can serve as examples for others to replicate in the rest of the world. That's really what I want us to be able to create. We won't be able to solve all the problems on our own, but we can have a function in creating examples that others can follow. And I mean, the nice thing in our model is that we're on the process of becoming financially self-sustainable ourselves, so we can also slowly but surely grow, cover our costs fully self-sustainably, as soon as the funds have a certain size. So it is possible for us to expand over time, which I think is great. So I think these are some of the elements of how I would wish the world to be, and what we think we can contribute from the side of the social business.
Well, thank you so much.
I think we have one last question. What message do you have for students at McGill University?
You all have the power to do things that will change the world over time. Don't be shy. Of course, you all think you're young and maybe unexperienced, etc. But having the audacity to say, I can actually do something, and I'm not just going to sit on my hands and do nothing because the problems are too big, etc. But if every one of you just says, I'm going to do my little thing to change something at home, in my community, or I start helping with the crowdfunding campaign, or I like something on Facebook that is going in the right direction, etc. Every single thing that you do can lead us closer to that kind of vision of the world that I was talking about earlier. So I can only say, try stuff out, get involved, and use your amazing skills that you have that are unlimited, and to do something to help the rest of society.